Mike Moore Media.
It's our monthly program with Rockingham County Schools. Dr. John Stover, superintendent, is in our studios today. Hey, John, how are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic, getting ready for spring break. How are you doing, Mike?
Spring break sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does.
You have a special guest with you today.
I do. I have our director of HR, Dean Richardson, our wonderful director of HR, and we're going to talk a little bit about one of our big priorities for the year, and it will be a big priority moving forward. It's the morale of our staff. One of the things I do is I ask our principals and everyone who works with our students, the first question we should answer for ourselves is how are the children, right? Mm-hmm. That should drive what we do. That should drive our decisions. Almost as important, if not as important, we should also ask how are our staff? Mm-hmm. Because if our staff aren't taking care of themselves, if we're not supporting the staff members at the central office and at the administrative level, then we're not doing our job. Because the children will not be served unless we serve the staff. And so that's why it's such a big priority. And I'm going to have Dean in just a second after I brag on the Reidsville High School basketball team.
Oh, yeah, got to do that.
I'm going to have Dean talk about two really exciting initiatives that we have in our county this year. And that is working with our staff to come up with ideas to improve their morale. And so instead of us saying, hey, we know what's best for you, we're actually taking the radical step of asking them, hey, what is best for you? And obviously I say that tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
and then also he's going to go over, and he's done such a wonderful job leading a program that we call Advanced Teaching Roles that has been funded by the state legislature. And so he's going to go over that. But first... Yes. Let me talk about the Reidsville High School championship basketball team.
All right, yeah.
I was excited last Saturday to watch them in Lawrence Joel Coliseum. I'm not sure what the name of it now is, but back in the day it was Lawrence Joel.
Yeah.
And it was such a great example of what we're trying to do with our Portrait of a Graduate, which are 7 skills that we think are really important for our students to have in order to be successful. And as I was thinking about what I would say to you, the 7 skills, just so you'll know, Mike, are adaptability, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, empathy, personal responsibility, and a learner's mindset. Mm-hmm. And these are where we adapted the North Carolina Portrait of a Graduate skills. But as I was thinking about their win, which was an overtime thriller, they won by 1.
Yeah.
And it was the game where they were tested the most. I really saw a lot of things like adaptability. They were actually down at one point in the second half and had to come back. And then, the Farmville Central shot a 3-pointer at the very end, which tied it up, which they could have fallen, but they didn't. They adapted. Farmville Central played some different defenses. Obviously, collaboration is so key with a basketball team, and they really were 5 guys working together, 5 young men working together on the court at the same time, did an excellent job sharing the basketball, passing, giving up shots for a better shot. Communication is really so important. And then critical thinking like, okay, what's the situation? Where can I set my teammates up for success? So I just want to call them out for an outstanding effort and showing real character, poise, and grit as they won the state championship, which, as you know, Mike, is the second state championship for Reidsville. So they've had a great year athletically.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone.
Yes, to the team, Coach Ross, and everybody. But now I'm going to let Dean take over and really talk about 2 exciting initiatives. As I said, our co-designing solutions with our teachers and our staff members, I should say, in the advanced teacher roles.
Okay. Dean, welcome. Nice to have you here.
I appreciate the invitation.
First, let's talk about your role in HR. What does that involve, actually?
All right, so our primary responsibility is taking a look at the entire employee experience, from the recruiting aspect all the way through to retirement and everything in between. So we are the largest employer in Rockingham County. We have right under 1,600 employees if you look at full-time and part-time employees.
You know, when I hear that, somebody say something like that, the largest employer in Rockingham County, people don't realize that until, I hear that statement. I think, wow, that's pretty awesome.
And Mike, when you think about, when people think about schools, the first role that they think about is the teacher in the classroom, but it's so much more.
Yeah.
If you look at the number of miles that we travel on our buses, getting students to school and from school, the number of meals we serve for breakfast and lunch. So there are a lot of other components that are important to the function of a school every day, beyond the classroom.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you here in the studio. Thank you for sharing that with us. And as our superintendent was saying, we want to find out more about these listening sessions and the pilot advanced teaching roles. So tell us about that, Dean.
Yeah, so as a product of Rockingham County Schools, I graduated from Reedsville High in 1994. So when I had the opportunity to come back home to serve in this role in human resources, it was very exciting for me because, Dr. Stover is a very out-of-the-box and innovative thinker. So at the beginning of this school year, we had some listening tours, and he started this process last year. It's his first year as superintendent in the district. So between the months of August and October, we went out to each school and met with each staff to get some feedback from them, kind of set the tone for the school year, and kind of get an idea of what they're thinking about for the upcoming school year as well. After each one of those sessions, we sent a survey out to staff to get some open-ended feedback from them, how they're feeling about the district, how they're feeling about their schools, how they're feeling about themselves as a professional. And we ended up getting close to around 300 responses from staff from that open-ended survey. And after some reflection, we decided to send out a second survey in January. This one was not open-ended. It was more Likert scale, like on a scale of 1 to 5. How safe do you feel in your school? How supported do you feel in your school? And the response rate just about doubled. We had about 650 responses from one that was sent out in January. And something that we kind of kicked off this week is kind of like a follow-up to that survey. So we have 4 sessions scheduled throughout the district. The first one was this past week in the Reedsville zone, and we have 3 more scheduled coming up to kind of review the results. Because what's the point of doing a survey if you're not sharing the results of the survey?
Sure.
And we're being very transparent about the process. I mean, they're getting to see the raw results. We're not trying to spin it in any type of way or anything like that. And of the survey results, 2 things really stood out as strengths or highlights for our district. Okay, one of them was kind of fell under the category of leadership, trust, and values. So think about that kind of revolves around, do people understand how their role contributes to the daily work of the district as a whole?
Okay.
Do they feel that leadership values mirror their values in regards to schools? Another highlight was personal safety and belonging. Do I feel like I'm treated fairly by my colleagues? Do I feel safe coming to school? Because safety, a lot of times when we think about safety, we're thinking about like physical safety, but there's also that emotional safety as well.
Oh, sure.
Are you comfortable bringing up concerns to your principal in the building or to district leadership and having those conversations? And I think it's very important to learn what those strengths are so you can continue those processes and keep those characteristics going. But what's more important to me is identifying those areas where we can improve, right? 2 of the areas that popped out from the survey were recognition and value. That was one of the lower scoring categories in the survey, Mike. And when you think about some of the statements in that category, it was like, I've received recognition for doing my job well. Teachers are recognized for excellent work by the district leaders. And what we have found, and we knew this going into it, but school-based staff, they get that recognition from the leaders in their building frequently. They're with them every day. What they're looking for is that more of that recognition from district level staff.
Okay.
From district level leadership. So even though we're in and out of the buildings, we need to be more aware and more cognizant of the feedback we're getting to staff. They're craving that. Another area, which ties into one of our other goals, is professional growth. A lot of times teachers feel like in order to grow as a professional, they have to leave the classroom to become an assistant principal, assistant superintendent, or director. But your strong teachers, if they want to be in the classroom, we want them in the classroom. So that kind of leads into our advanced teaching roles that we're looking into, Mike. We're in the planning year this year to roll it out in August. What this does is this provides an opportunity for effective teachers who have a proven track record instructionally to continue to teach for part of the day. But then the second part of the day, they're providing job-embedded coaching to other teachers.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a great course you're taking there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is a path that the state's looking at across the board. It's kind of built into the continuing budget at the state level, which of course helps fund it. Anytime you implement something, you want to make sure that it's sustainable, so you can really see the true impact. So the way that this is designed, as I mentioned, teachers, in our case, we're going to focus on math, and we're starting in the Reidsville zone, looking at the feeder pattern from elementary, middle to high. Teacher will be a teacher of record for part of the day, and like I mentioned, they'll spend the second part of the day possibly teaching small groups of students for remediation and enrichment in math, providing that in-the-moment coaching to beginning teachers who are in their first 3 years, or even veteran teachers who need some additional support. Mm-hmm. So schools can really tailor it to meet the needs of their building. So this really isn't going to be a top-down design. Even though we have a district design team, each school that's involved in this has built a school design team. So the teachers and the people in the building will also kind of construct the structure of what it's going to look like to best meet their needs.
Yeah. So it brings it home right there where they are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And this is something that's underway now right here in Rockingham County Schools.
Yes, sir. So this year has been the planning year for the advanced teaching roles, and for the listening tours and the surveys. We're kind of building it out starting this year and moving forward. This isn't a one and done scenario. We're going to continue to reflect on the results, continue to get feedback. And as we're engaging with teachers and building level staff regarding survey results and the effectiveness of the advanced teaching roles, they're going to have a voice in how we move forward. Because it's very easy in any organization, whether it's a school, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's a Fortune 500 company, to have a top-down directive. It's very important to have the voice of those who are actually doing the work to help build those strategies so you can, improve the instruction and really the work experience.
Sure. Yeah.
And I would also add that I think a lot of times when we're thinking about initiatives, it's almost like ready, fire, aim. And we actually want to be ready and we want to aim before we actually fire. And so having that year of really understanding what the problem is, understanding the processes, and working with people to design solutions, that's what we're doing with our teachers, and that's what we're doing with the advanced teaching roles as well, the schools that are doing it. Because we believe collaboration, just like those durable skills, how we kind of started, collaboration and communication is key. And if we're going to ask that for our students, we should certainly ask that for ourselves.
Okay. Got about a minute remaining. Superintendent, if you'd like to wrap it up.
Well, one of the cardinal rules of public speaking is never follow someone who's a better speaker than you. So you can see Mike how I strategically led off the conversation and let Dean do a wonderful job. And he had just weeks and weeks to prepare for this as well. I think I asked him Wednesday afternoon. I said, oh, by the way, I'm going to talk to Mike again. I'd love for you to talk about your advanced teaching roles. But I hope our public sees that we believe in communication. We believe in listening. That's such an important part of communication, not just talking, but listening and learning from others. While I can get enthusiastic, and sometimes that's my biggest strength, we really, not my biggest strength, we really try to rein it in and understand what our staff needs and wants, and what's going to continue to make Rockingham County one of the best school districts in the state of North Carolina.
Always good to have you here in our studios. Thank you. Always good information. Thank you, Dean, for being here, too.
Thank you.
All right. Our guest today, Superintendent of Rockingham County Schools, Dr. John Stover, and Dean Richardson, Director of Human Resources for Rockingham County Schools. Please follow them on Facebook, Rockingham County Schools, and rock.k12.nc.us.